blah, 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 blah. Watches, blah, 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 blah. Patina, blah, 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 blah. Vintage, blah, 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 blah. Straps, blah, 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 blah. Did I say patina? Blah, blah, blah. Horological. Okay, ready?
Yes.
This is the best.
Just do it.
Hey guys, it's Cam from Craft and Tailored. In this episode of What Is On My Wrist, we are talking about a 1966 Breitling reference 765 CP. It is also known as the Co Pilot. The CP in the reference stands for Co Pilot. It's awesome. I can't wait to share it with you. I can't wait to make some more hand gestures. But in any case, I'm really excited about this watch. It's the first one that we've ever had, and I've kind of fallen in love with it a little bit. I've been trying not to wear this watch because I can't collect them all, keep them all, like Pokemon, you know what I mean? The idea is to find it and love them and romance them and then send them off to their new owners so that we can buy more. So we've talked about Breitling watches on our channel before. We've talked about the Navitimers. This is Navitimer-ish, but it's definitely not. What's really cool about this watch is that it's got some stereotypical standards of what we would kind of see from Breitling in this era, but Breitling made some modifications and there's some unique things that we only see in the reference 765 CP. Before we get into the details, guys, do us a favor, like, comment, and of course subscribe. Helps our channel. We're trying to grow this thing so that we can provide more content. And the more subscribers, the more likes we get, and the more views and all that, whatever, makes it easier for us to do that. Really interesting little story here. So there's this Olympic gold medal skier that has been associated with a particular watch brand. His name is Jean-Claude Killy. He has been referenced in wearing a very expensive Rolex triple calendar chronograph. The truth is that Killy didn't actually ever wear that watch. I don't know where that association came from, but, and let me fact check that. Hold on, Pete, hold on. What is he wearing here? He's not even wearing a Killy watch here. What is he wearing? I don't know. But it's not a Killy, I tell you that. It looks like a Day-Date, a Rolex Day-Date to me. 6236, yeah, okay. So Jean-Claude Killy as the skier is often cited as being synonymous with the reference 6236, which is an amazing chronograph produced by Rolex. It's actually a triple Day-Date calendar produced by Rolex, and they are wildly expensive. Very rare watch, not many of them produced. I've never seen a picture of him actually wearing one, so I don't know where that came from. You know, and Jean-Claude Killy is actually an ambassador for Rolex, but you know, he's here in this ad for Rolex as an ambassador, but this is a reference 1655 Explorer 2. I don't see, here's another ad, Killy, police officer, GMT, he's wearing a Day-Date here, I don't see Killy. Oh my gosh, look, there's Jake, there's Ariel Adams, that's Ben Clymer, and that's James Dowling. Hi guys. This is when they actually did a tour of the Rolex factory some time ago. Really cool. Also, shout out to Jake. You should check out his blogs and his YouTube and stuff. Jake does a great job of putting together some really cool historical artifacts and articles and photos. He's like the best hunter of historical celebrity wristwatch artifacts in the game. So check out rolexmagazine.com, and special shout out to Jake. Appreciate what you do for our community. So going back to the Breitling 765 CP, Killy actually wore a 765 CP in the Winter Olympics. This was the watch that he's actually wearing. And there's a bunch of great photographs of Jean-Claude Killy wearing a 765, probably in 1965 or 1966, in very similar spec to the one that I have on my wrist. What's really cool about this chronograph is it leverages a Venus caliber 178, and Breitling has modified it so that the 3 o'clock subdial, instead of it being a 30-minute totalizer, is actually a 15-minute totalizer, which is really interesting. One other thing to note as well is the 3 o'clock subdial is actually larger out of the 3. If you actually look at the spacing between the 9 o'clock and the 6 o'clock and the 3 o'clock and the 6 o'clock subdial, you'll notice that the spacing between the subdials is different because this 3 o'clock subdial is actually quite large. The other thing to note too is that the subdial at the 3 o'clock position is actually loomed, which is really a quite unique feature. And the recorder hand in that subdial is actually kind of like a broad arrow hand, which is loomed as well, and also kind of a unique design feature. So really cool Venus Cal 178, manually wound movement, beautiful watch overall, and that's one of the design characteristics that I really like. At the 12, the 3, the 6, and the 9 o'clock positions on the dial, there's also these little loomed arrows, which is kind of a nice little feature. That's because obviously you have less space on the outer track of the dial, and instead of just leaving it blank, you actually have like a little luminous position there, which is really, really cool. This is obviously a tritium-based watch, so obviously a lot of manufacturers in the later part of the 1960s were moving away from radium and radioactive luminous materials, so this one is actually signed T at the 6 o'clock position, right above the 6 o'clock triangle, and right below the 6 o'clock subdial, there's like this little tiny T, which is a nice, unique feature. I love these kind of batonish sword hands. I don't know if there's a specific name for these hands. You'll see them in a lot of Breitling watches, but they're like a luminous filled baton hand that are enameled white. And then the sweep seconds hand is luminous filled, and it's beautiful in its overall shape. Outer bezel is bi-directional, and then it's basically almost kind of like a GMT bezel, which is kind of cool. So nice for, obviously navigation for tracking multiple time zones. You can kind of set it, 3 hours ahead or in advance, so you can actually track 2 different time zones. Obviously it's not 24-hour, but you have your running seconds hand here at the 9 o'clock subdial, and then you have your hour totalizer here at the 6 o'clock position. Really cool. Small chronograph buttons, so that's kind of similar to what we would see in the Breitling Navitimer series out of the 60s. It wasn't until the later examples that they kind of upped the size of the pushers. Smaller, but easy to access winding crown. Really, really nice. Screw down case back. Overall, nice case. So the watch actually had a fairly short production period. The 765 CP was produced between 1965 and 1967, so fairly short run. So they're out there, but they're kind of far and few between. Not that many of them exist. One thing that I also may have mentioned earlier is that this Venus caliber 178 was also modified here at the 3 o'clock totalizer to record 15-minute intervals, similar to other aviation watches out of the era, instead of the normal 30-minute formatting that you would see in just a standard chronograph from the mid-1960s. So let's go through some tech specs on the watch too. I know I'm kind of jumping around. I guess I'm very overly caffeinated and also excited about this one, but interesting kind of thing to note is the watch is 41 millimeters in diameter, so it's not the smallest watch, but it's also wearable at 41. The lug width on this watch is 22 millimeters, so it is a little bit wider in terms of the strap width or the lug width. I haven't seen any 765s come on a bracelet. I'm not saying that they didn't leave the factory on a bracelet, they may have, but most of them that I've seen have actually come on a strap, so I'm wondering if at time of production they were actually offered on some kind of like rubber or leather strap. I know that Breitling did offer watches out of the factory in that era on their strap. The condition of this watch is awesome. The original crystal is really nice and intact. There isn't too much crazing or anything like that in the acrylic or Hesa-like crystal. The bezel still retains a really nice deep black coloration. The lume in this 12 o'clock marker has kind of come out, and also I've seen a couple different variants really quick. This 765 CP has the black outer rotating bezel. I've seen a couple of them with actually like a red enameled filled triangle, so there's still some of that red enamel left. I don't know if that was kind of like an under layer of where it would have been loomed with tritium, but I have seen a couple of these with actual red, what appears to be enamel in the triangle at the 12 o'clock position on the bezel. The lume in the hands and on the dial is in really nice condition. Little bit of degradation on this one in the sweep seconds hand, but overall, you know, the lume on the dial has achieved kind of this nice warm golden kind of sand color, which matches the strap that we have on this pretty nicely. And the condition of the watch overall is really, really nice. I would say that the watch has probably been polished maybe once or twice. I wouldn't refer to this as an unpolished example, but what's kind of cool is that the case geometry is there, and I really like the lugs and the case geometry of Breitlings out of this era. It's really beautiful. I like the faceting. There's kind of this slight step that is underneath the bezel. So nice watch overall, and definitely has been spending a lot of time on my wrist. So in any case, guys, I'll provide a link in the description above and below so that you guys can check this out. So thanks guys for tuning in. As always, be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. If you have watch questions, we are here to help. Drop us a line at info@craftandtailored.com. Also, if you're not doing so already, follow us on Instagram at craftandtailored. And yeah, thanks again for tuning in. We will see you guys in the next one. Hey Tyler, never mind. I'm sorry. I know you're working. I'm not. I'm just being an asshole.